This plane represents aircraft of the future. The passenger section, can you get it in the camera? Good. When the plane lands, the passenger section will be disengaged and go down into the air terminal. And another passenger section filled with 1,000 passengers will come up and lock in, because the airplane doesn't need a rest. It doesn't need a rest while people are getting out. So you can load it right away and get much more use out of aircraft. Not only that, they tell you today that under your seat is a life raft. Now, if you land in the Northern Sea in the wintertime, you're good for about 12 minutes, and you die. I don't care how big your raft is. The passenger section can be disengaged and float with all the food and everything you need. In other words, if you're flying in an airplane and the landing gear doesn't come down, and the plane has a minor accident, most people don't die when planes hit the ground. They die when the fuel spills over the engine. Fire. So when your landing gear doesn't come down, that dispels the fuel automatically. It blows the fuel out by an inert gas. Then when you come in for landing, there's less of a chance of a problem. Do you understand what I'm saying? Okay. Is there anything you don't understand, interrupt me. Okay. Now, suppose you do come in for landing, or say you are coming in for landing, your landing gear doesn't come down, that blows the fuel out. That also sets a spray on the runway. You understand? Because the plane is connected to all these things. When we use technology that way, see, the airport's a private company. Eastern Airlines, Western Airlines, all private. When it becomes one, when all the world joins together, then we can do these wonderful things. So let me describe in further detail. Suppose you do land, and the landing gear does work, but your brakes fail. That plane can plow into people, hangars, fire, all kinds of. The minute the brakes fail, the arresting gear goes up on the runway. It's wires, stainless steel, stop the plane in the middle or the end of the runway. Now, normal people say, well, why don't they do those things? Because you don't have technicians in government. The government people elected should be at the forefront of technology, ecology, behavioral science. Is designed as a shelter. We will make many of these. No hurricane can pick up an inverted cone. There's no flat roof to suck up. This is a turbine that's turned by the hurricane. That keeps the food in the refrigerator going. All the lights. Usually during a hurricane there's a blackout, so all your food spoils. This is designed for hurricanes. But during the week, it's recreation. So we will put these all through the West Indies, no cost. All through Florida. Different places people go. There's tornadoes that are ripping houses to pieces all over the country, and the congressmen don't know what to do. Do you understand this? Yes. If we built this, there is no problem. Now, we've also designed buildings where the roof doesn't come off, like this. So, we will design windows that are shatterproof. In other words, instead of saying, be careful, do this, we build it in.
The whole basis of the technology is to maintain a high standard of living. Technology is not worth anything unless it improves people's lives. Today, people are afraid of science and technology because it's so abusive today in so many ways. But it's not science and it's not the technology we should be wary of. It's the abuse and the misuse of science. You can take a rocket and you can shoot it into outer space and explore outer space, or you can take it and use it as a bomb and destroy another country. It's really the inanimate object really is in our hands and what we do with it. When there's a depression or a dip in the economy and a lot of people don't have money to buy things, there are still goods out there. There's still the ability to produce them. There's still the resources. There's still the farms, and people want to work and make things, but they don't have the money. They can't buy things. So there's something terribly wrong out there. We have a great deal of the Earth's population starving and suffering, And the resources are there, our ability to produce is there, our ingenuity is there, yet some people have a lot and others don't have anything. And today that's really shameful with our technology. It's really very, very abusive and absurd because we have all the technology today to produce abundance all over the world for everyone.
In 1860, 60% of Americans worked in the agricultural sector. However, today, due to advancements in machinery and automation, less than 1%. Fortunately, those technological advancements also gave rise to an emerging industrial revolution, and by 1950, 33% were employed in the factory-based manufacturing sector. As of now, due to continual advancements in machine automation, it is less than 8%. So considering that only roughly 9%, granted there's probably a few percent leeway on there depending on which analysts you use, so there's only 9% of Americans working in agriculture and manufacturing now, where did everybody else go? Service sector. The only thing that has saved the U.S. labor market after the technological renovation of the agricultural and manufacturing sectors is flight to the service industry. From 1950 to 2002, U.S. employment in the service sector went from 59% to 82%. The service sector is the dominant employer of Americans today, along with all other industrialized countries. Of course, this begs the question, is this sector insusceptible to the wrath of technological unemployment? Of course not. With the advent of increasing versatile computer technologies, we are seeing job displacement once again, this time in all service industries. The replacement of tellers and cashiers with kiosks, the use of automated voice systems for phone service, the internet has completely redefined retail, not to mention full kiosk systems in physical marketplaces, advanced food prep machines, and even research done by automation these days. As economist Stephen Roach has warned, the service sector has lost its role as America's unbridled engine of job creation. Things where you see a news report about a certain technology that can do certain things, if you were to apply those creatively, I don't see how 90% of the entire service industry couldn't be wiped out tomorrow. The only reason it hasn't been done is because the focus of society is backwards when it comes to social progress. To illustrate this point more so, let's stop thinking about technology in terms of unemployment for a moment and consider it from the angle of productivity. The most incredible relationship of all of this is that the more technological employment increases, the more productive things become. In the G7 advanced industrialized countries, employment in manufacturing has been dropping, but manufacturing output has been rising. Here's the chart. I think it's quite profound. I love this. The truth is that the U.S. manufacturing is doing quite well, in every way except the number of people it employs. Furthermore, few economists would judge the health or sickness of any industry based solely on employment. By that standard, agriculture has been the sickest industry of all for decades because employment has declined, although farm productivity rose dramatically in the past century. Industrial health is better measured by output, productivity, profitability, and wages. The person is completely forgetting one universal thing. If human laborers are displaced, they cannot obtain purchasing power. If they cannot obtain purchasing power, they cannot fuel the economy by consumption.
14,500 people gathered for Michael Jackson's funeral, and millions of people around the globe watched in tears. All those people joined for the same person, but no one objects when we idolize celebrities. Then, when countless good Samaritans, including celebrities, got involved and donated millions of dollars to help Haiti, all those people joined together for the same endeavor. And I haven't seen any blogs against the Help Haiti cult. Yet, when an organization called the Venus Project gets together of their own free will to try and help humanity avoid future crises, like total economic calamity or a possible World War III, people come all out of the woodwork and object.
This is bullshit.
Together and be proactive instead of always being reactive. You know, something like, gee everyone, we've got some serious issues in this world as it is, but based on our current trends and our tendency to repeat history, the future's not looking so bright either. Let's try reanalyzing our situation from a different perspective, coming up with lasting ways to resolve these problems and effectively prevent them from reoccurring or escalating in the future. What do you think? Instead of, oh my goodness, something bad happened. Here's money for the war on terror. Why is there still war and terrorism? Here's money for the starving people. Why are people still starving? Here's money for security and law enforcement. Why is there still so much crime?
Problems today are enormous and global in their scope and impact. They cannot be solved by any one nation. The concept of common good is global in nature but local in implementation. We must start with what we have in common. All social systems, regardless of political philosophy, religious beliefs, or social customs, ultimately depend upon natural resources like clean air and water, arable land, and the technology and personnel to maintain a high standard of living. This can be accomplished through the intelligent and humane application of science and technology using a global systems approach. When money and self-interest are outgrown, interaction between nations won't be based on self-interest but on mutual interests. This approach will help eliminate artificial boundaries that separate people. At present, people are not well enough informed to devise a relevant and workable social system through rational methods. The Venus Project will not be installed by today's political leaders who are not appointed to change things but to keep things as they are. It is only through the failure of existing social institutions and political incompetence that people will seek other possible social alternatives. They are mainly motivated only by severe conditions that threaten their safety and existence.
As a group, rather than relying on our governments, let's not sit around and wait for the next natural disaster to happen before acknowledging the fact that we already possess the technology and designs to better handle it. And let's not sit around and wait for the scarcity of our natural resources to become severe enough for a third world war, or even threaten our whole species before we really start focusing on these issues. We've already proven that when catastrophe strikes, even conflicting nations are willing to help each other. So why keep donating and writing each other checks back and forth, prolonging the suffering and starvation, when we can just combine our efforts in the first place and achieve our goals as a globe? We have the resources to do it. We have the technology to do it. But we're letting our pride get in the way. So now all we're missing is people. When we all join the cause, we can finally put people before pride.
Okay, my name is Aaron Moritz. I have a YouTube channel and a website called The Infinite Yes. I'm sure if you Google it, you'll find it. Okay, so automation. When I was a little kid, my mom made me go to work 5 days a week every summer from when I was 12 on until I think 19. She owns a brick and tile place, and a lot of the time I'd be putting orders together or restacking fallen pallets of bricks, and I would pick up the brick or the box of tiles and put them next to each other, one after the other, layer after layer, and stack the pallet up. I felt like a trained monkey could do my job, and that's probably true. But I also had no knowledge of robotics and automation. I didn't really have any way of getting knowledge of robotics and automation. They weren't teaching it at school, and I certainly wasn't learning it at work, mindlessly placing brick after brick after brick. So where was I supposed to learn it? The answer eventually came with the internet and all the amazing availability of information that it's produced, the internet itself is really just a massive automated structure that allows people to give information to each other. So I was able to learn about robotics and sensors, and for the first time, and the first thing I thought when I saw what these machines can do is that they could have been fucking stacking those bricks for me for 7 summers, while I could have been doing something useful or at least fun, something that wasn't dulling my brain to the point that I'm not really sure if I've recovered from it. But anyway, it's funny now that I think of it that the automated information delivery system we call the internet allowed me to learn about automation of lifting bricks, because it shows how many different areas automation can be applied to. And I see tons of videos and research papers on complex computer-guided robotic systems and what they're capable of doing, which is amazing. Object recognition, intricate mechanical work, transportation at speeds you don't imagine, like tons of things. And when you just take a second and creatively combine all of these seemingly separate capabilities together and imagine them applied globally, you start to see what the Zeitgeist movement talks about. Like I love when Peter Joseph calls it the nervous system of our planet, because our bodies are made up of tiny little organisms, cells and bacteria that symbiotically work together to create us, a person,